What's up, everybody? We are going to do lesson 10.4 today, and that is multi-step measurement problems. So whenever you hear multi-step, you should remember that you need to be reading these and solving these one sentence at a time. Take your time. Do not skip steps, because that is what will mess you up. If you don't remember some of your conversions, then you can flip back in your book. Page 598 has the conversions for weight. Page 592 has the conversions for capacity. And page 586 has the conversions for length. And I will post those in the description below in case you forget. So, let's go ahead and get started. A leaky faucet in Jared's house drips 2 cups of water each day. After 2 weeks of dripping, the faucet is fixed. If it dripped the same amount each day, how many quarts of water dripped from Jared's leaky faucet in 2 weeks? So we can write down what we know already. We know that the faucet drips, got my eraser selected, 2 cups of water each day, and that it drips for 2 weeks. So what we need to find out is how many quarts of water dripped from the leaky faucet in 2 weeks. What we can do is just work one sentence at a time. So a leaky faucet drips 2 cups of water, so we know we're working with 2 cups. Put a little C there so we don't forget. After 2 weeks, the faucet is fixed. If it dripped the same amount each day, that right there tells us we need to multiply the same amount each day. And we know it lasted 2 weeks, so that's going to be 14 days. So we'll multiply that 2 cups by 14 to get 28 total cups. So it drips 28 cups in 2 weeks. How many quarts of water dripped from the leaky faucet? So now what we need to do is convert those cups into quarts. Yes, you can go straight from cups to quarts, but let's not skip any steps. Let's not move too fast. Let's make sure we just do it one thing at a time. Use those charts. And that chart will say we can go from 28 cups to pints. There's 2 cups and a pint, so we can divide. Since we're moving to a bigger unit, we'll have to divide. And that will give us 14 pints. So now that we have 14 pints, we can go to quarts. We're moving to a bigger unit, so we're dividing, and there's 2 pints in a quart, so we divide by 2. So that gives us 7 quarts. So it drips 7 quarts in 2 weeks. See how much easier it is when you just do one step at a time. So what if the faucet dripped for 4 weeks before it was fixed? Well, it dripped for 2 weeks. To go from 2 weeks to 4 weeks, you would have to double it. So let's just double our answer. 7 times 2 equals 14. And that's all you've got to do. So let's keep on moving along. Let's keep on practicing. We'll write down what we know first, and then we'll just solve it one sentence at a time. A carton of large grade A eggs, none of those grade B eggs, alpha eggs only, no betas, weighs about 1.5 pounds. If a carton holds a dozen eggs, how many ounces does each egg weigh? Well, if we're going to find out how many ounces each egg weighs, first we need to find out how many ounces there are in total. So if we think about it, we know that 1 pound equals 16 ounces. So let's figure out how many ounces we are going to have. So we have 1.5 times 16. And that is going to give us 1.5 times 16. That's the same as 1.5 times 16. So it's going to give us 24. 1/2 of 16, or 0.5 of 16 is 8. 16 times 1 is 16. Add those together, you got your 24. So altogether, we've got 24 ounces. So if there is a dozen eggs, how many ounces does each egg weigh? So we need to split those 24 ounces up into a dozen eggs. And hopefully we know a dozen is just 12. So we can divide 24 by 12 to get 2. So each egg weighs about 2 ounces. So if we just do it one step at a time, it will not be too much trouble for us. So we will do 1, 2, and 3 together, and I'll help you out on this next page just a little bit before I let you work on your own. So let's look at number 1. We'll do it a few steps at a time. After each soccer practice, Scott runs 4 sprints of 20 yards each. If he continues his routine, how many practices will it take for Scott to have sprinted a total of 2 miles? So let's just break this down. We'll do it a sentence at a time. So it says he runs 4 sprints of 20 yards each. So we'll do 4 times 20. And that gives us 80. So that means he runs 80 yards each practice. He's trying to get 2 miles. So we need to find out how many yards there are going to be in 2 miles. Instead of trying to turn 20 yards into like some tiny piece or fraction of a mile, let's just figure out how many yards are in 2 miles. So we can see our chart will tell us that there is 1,760 yards in a mile. So we just need to multiply that by 2 to find out how many there is in 2 miles. So if you do that, multiply that by 2, you will get 3,520. So there's 3,520 yards in 2 miles. So how many practices will it take for him to do 2 miles combined? Well, he's trying to get 3,520 miles, and he's going 80 miles per time. So let's just divide. How many times will 80 go into 3? It won't. 35? It also won't. But what about 352? 4 times. We know 8 times 4 is 32, so 8t times 4 is going to be 320. Whoop. We subtract 2, 3, 0, and we bring down our 0. Lo and behold, we get another 320, so it is another 4. So that means in order to run 2 miles, he's going to have 44 practices. Yikes, yikes, yikes. That is not happening anytime soon. Sorry, Scott. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and erase that so we can work out the next one. And let's check out number 2. Hopefully you all will get the hang of these. It gets easier every time you do one. You just need to do it one sentence at a time. Don't get stressed. Don't freak out that it's a harder problem. You can do it. So a worker at a mill is loading 5-pound bags of flour into boxes to deliver to a local warehouse. Each box holds 12 bags of flour. If the warehouse orders 3 tons of flour, how many boxes are needed to fulfill the order? Okay, so let's just do this one sentence at a time. A worker is loading 5-pound bags of flour into boxes. 5 pounds. Each box holds 12 bags of flour. Well, if each box has 12 bags, that means we're going to multiply by 12. Each is going to give you a pretty good hint you need to multiply. So that means each box is going to have 60 pounds in it. If the warehouse orders 3 tons of flour, how many boxes do they need? So let's just break that up a little bit. 3 tons. We know that there's 2,000 pounds in a ton, thanks to our handy dandy chart. So we can just multiply that by 2,000. We want to have the same units. And remember, it's always easier to make those bigger units into smaller ones. Well, almost always easier. So 3 times 2,000 gives us 6,000. So how many boxes are needed to fulfill that order? Well, you have 60-pound boxes and you need 6,000 pounds. Since we're just working with powers of 10, we can just count how many zeros we're going to need. We're going to need 2 zeros to make a 60 a 6,000. So that means 6,000 divided by 60 is going to give us 100, because 60 times 100 is 6,000. And we just see how many zeros we're missing. It's the same beginning number, a 6, and then it's just followed by zeros, so we can just do that. But if you want to work it out the fun way, then we can also do that just to prove that it's the same. 60 goes into 6 0 times, but it goes into 60 once. We subtract and we get 0. Bring down your 0. 60 goes into 0 0 times. Bring down your 0. Subtract. And 60 goes into 0 again 0 times. So you'll need 600 boxes to fulfill that order. All right, moving on along. Number 3. Corey brings 5 one-gallon jugs of juice to serve during parent night at his school. If the paper cups he's using for drinks can hold 8 fluid ounces, how many drinks can Corey serve for parent night? We've got quite a bit of conversions to do here. So, Corey brings 5 one-gallon jugs of juice. So, we've got 5 gallons of juice. 5 times 1 is 5. But the cups he's using are in fluid ounces. So we need to make that 5 gallons go into fluid ounces. We'll change that gallons into quarts. So there's 4 quarts in a gallon. So that gives us 20 quarts. We have 20 quarts and we need to go to pints. There's 2 pints in a quart. So times 2 equals 40 pints. We need to change those pints. We need to change those pints into cups, which gives us 80 cups. And finally, we need to change those cups into ounces. So that will give us 640. Man, that was a lot. So, not hard, just takes a few steps. So we've got 640 ounces. So to figure out how many cups he can have, if each cup holds 8 ounces, we just need to divide 640 by 8. And if you looked, 80 times 8 equals 640. So 640 divided by 8 equals 80. Not too bad, not too bad, not too bad. So, I'm going to throw you some help here really quick. And number 4 and number 7 I'm going to go over for you, or with you rather. Then 6, 8, and 9 you all will get to try by yourself. So, I trust you all can do it. But let's go over 4 and 7. So number 4, a science teacher collects 18 pints of lake water for a lab she is teaching. So let's just go ahead and write that down. 18 pints. The lab requires each student to use 4 fluid ounces of lake water. All right. If 68 students are participating, how many pints of lake water will the teacher have left over? Well, so let's find out how many ounces of lake water there are total. Or excuse me, how many ounces are being used. So it says the lab requires each student to use 4 fluid ounces. and there's 68 students. So 68 students times 4 ounces. 4 times 8 is 32. Carry your 3. 4 times 6 is 24. Plus 3, 27. So you're going to need 272 ounces for all the students. So let's see how many ounces we have if we have 18 pints. So we'll take that 18 pints and we will turn it into cups. So we'll multiply by 2. We'll get 36. And then we'll take those cups and we'll turn them into ounces by multiplying by 8. So 36 times 8, 6 times 8 is 48. Carry your 4, 8 times 3 is 24, carry your 8, or your 4. So 288 ounces. If you have 288 ounces and you're subtracting 272 because that's how much you're using, you're trying to find out how much you have left over. Minus 272. And that will leave you with 16 ounces. Alright, I'll erase that and we will tackle number 7. And then I will let you handle the rest of this page by yourself. And if you checked the assignment, we are not completing the next page. It is just 602 through 605. So let's work on number 7 together. A male African elephant weighs 7 tons. 7 tons. If a male African lion at the local zoo weighs about 1/40th of that weight, how many pounds does the lion weigh? Well, first, if we're trying to find out pounds, let's go ahead and turn these 7 tons into pounds. So 7 tons times 2,000 will give you pounds, and that is 14,000 pounds. If an African lion weighs 1/40th of that, then we need to find out what 1/40th of 14,000 is. So we'll multiply that times 1/40, which gives you 14,000 over 40. And I bet you already knew that we will have to divide that. We've got to simplify it. So 40 will go into 140 3 times, because that'll give you 120. If we subtract that, we'll get 20, bring down our 0. 40 will go into 200 5 times. We'll have 0 left over, bring down your 0, and 40 will go into 0 0 times. So that male African lion weighs 350 pounds. So I want you all to work out 6, 8, and 9 by yourselves. Just work them out one problem at one sentence at a time. Don't try and speed through it. Then you can check with me after. So go ahead and pause the video to work them out right now. Pause this video. Alright, let's see how you did. So for number 6, we should have gotten 5, and here's why. One rotation is 72 inches. So we want to find out how many rotations it takes to get 10 yards. Well, we know that 10 yards is 30 feet. And 30 feet is 360 inches. We need to have the same units here. So one rotation is 72 inches, and we are trying to see how many times we need to do 72 inches to get 360 inches. So we just divide 360 by 72, and we get 5. So number 8, we should have got 4,140. We know that 7,860 pounds is how much the empty truck weighs. We know that after it's full, it weighed 6 tons. So we go ahead and we convert these to have the same units. So that's 12,000 pounds, excuse me. So we need to find out how much weight was added. So we subtract 12,000 by 7,860 and we get 4,140. Number 9 was a pretty tough one. Let's see if you got it. We took that 1 gallon, which is 6 pounds. And we're trying to find out how many ounces a quart will weigh. So let's go ahead and find out how many ounces a gallon will weigh. So 1 gallon ends up giving us about 96 ounces. And hopefully you caught that hint. 1 quart is 1/4 of a gallon. So if 1 gallon is 96 ounces, then let's see what 1/4 of 96 ounces would be. And that will give you 16 ounces. Alright, I know that this can be tough, guys and girls, but if you just do it one sentence at a time and you use those charts, it won't be too bad. Just remember, you can't do a whole lot unless your units are the same. So, make your units the same. Do it one sentence at a time, and I'm sure you'll have no trouble. But if you do, don't be afraid to call, to email, whatever, and I will help you in any way I can. I will have a one-on-one Zoom math lesson with you if I need to. But keep it 212, Laker Gang. Thanks for watching, and good luck.